Come in. Hi there, please
Hi.
take a seat and make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
I'd like to just start off with some introductions. My name is Stephen Gately, I'm an assistant psychologist. Could I just start off by taking your full name, please?
Yeah, my name is Laura Kowalski.
Okay, it's a pleasure to meet you, Laura.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, and what age are you, Laura?
I'm 32 years old.
Yeah. And tell me, Laura, when your GP referred you to me, did he give you any information about who I am or what I can offer you?
No, I just told him what my issues were, and then he said it would be a really good idea for me to come here today.
Okay. Well, essentially my job as assistant psychologist is one of the treatments I use here in this practice is what's called cognitive behavioural therapy, or CBT. And what CBT is a framework of guided self-help. So it would be me helping you to help yourself find a solution to the problems that you're experiencing. And it also helps you to understand your thoughts, your feelings and emotions and how they all affect your behaviours and how everything sort of plays into one another. Okay? The way that CBT usually works here is, the way it's structured is an initial assessment, which will be today, and after the initial assessment there will be about 6 to 8 follow-up sessions, possibly more if the problem turns out to be a bit more severe, okay? Each of these sessions would last about 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
Okay? The initial assessment, which will be today, is quite important because what it basically does is it allows me to get to know you better as a person and allows me to get to understand the problems that you're experiencing just a bit better and provide a bit of context. And what it also allows us to do is I would begin you to fill in some psychological questionnaires just so we can get like an objective score on how your problem is or where it sits at the minute. And then as we have more sessions, then we would hopefully see your scores going down. Okay, so it just gives us an actual like a measurement we can use to see how effective the treatment is for you. And then the final purpose of that is also to see in CBT if you think it is the right treatment for you. As it is a patient-centered therapy, you need to agree that it is the right treatment for you. If you don't feel it's right, then we can't obviously go forward.
Okay.
Okay, does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. If you have any questions or if you think I'm talking too fast, just stop me at any time, okay?
Okay, thank you.
The other thing I do need to discuss before we begin is our confidentiality practices here. Okay, so in terms of confidentiality, everything you say in this room will be kept confidential. The only exceptions are I do have to pass client files on to a supervisor just to let them know that I'm doing my job right. But when your client file is passed on, all your identifiable information, just your name, your age, whatever, all those would be taken off before they're given over, so nobody would be able to identify you as the person who said this, that, and the other. The only other time where this could be an issue is, say if you were to say to me something that I would identify as a major risk, either to yourself or to someone else. In that case, I do have to then stop the session and pass that information on. But I don't want you to feel like I'm judging you or criticising you. I just want you to be as open and as honest with me as possible, because all I'm here to do is really to try and help you.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to ask before I start the session or before we go ahead?
No, I think I'm fine.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Laura, so if you could just tell me in your own words there, what is the main problem that's brought you here today then?
My main problem really is I'm just scared to leave my house. When I go to leave my house, this feeling just comes over me and my chest tightens. I feel really panicky, and when that happens, I feel like I'm going to collapse in front of everybody and have a heart attack, and I just can't avoid feeling that way. And it used to be kind of the initial just going out, but now even if I know I have to go out, I start to feel those feelings maybe 1 or 2 days before knowing that I have to leave the house. So I can't really avoid this feeling, and it keeps just kind of staying around, and I don't really know how to get rid of it.
Very sorry to hear that. I'm sure it must be awful for you.
It is
How did you feel coming here today?
Well, I got the letter a while back, so it's sort of constantly been on my mind. I haven't really slept. The worry kind of has kept me up at night, but I made here because I really want to try and help myself, so I made it here.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well done on you for taking the first positive steps towards treatment.
Thank
I really
you.
do believe that it can be helpful for you. So, could you tell me about maybe the first time that you've started experiencing these issues? How long have you had these feelings for?
I think when I think back, I moved here when I was 7, and just shortly after I moved here, my mum and I were in a supermarket shopping, and I lost her, and I tried to find my way home, and I couldn't find my way because I wasn't familiar with the place, I wasn't familiar with the languages, I couldn't read the signs, and I was just so flustered and I really just thought I was just never going to find her, and I felt all those feelings that I still experience now, but I did find her in the end, and it was a while after. But that's kind of when I think back the first time I felt all these emotions together.
So do you remember feeling any of these emotions before you moved over here then, or?
No, when I lived in Poland, I loved my life. I didn't want to come here, and like I had great friends. I understood the language. I loved where I lived, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's a very challenging prospect for any child. You know, any young child coming over here to a completely different country and having experienced that, especially when you don't speak the language. So yeah, completely understand that. Do you still think about that time in the supermarket even today? Does it still bother you?
You know, one of my main things was I would love to be able to go to the supermarket and do the weekly shop to provide for my children, but I just can't. I just can't. Those feelings just come over me, and I just can't. So my mum would have to do my shop for me, and which again then leaves me feeling really, really guilty that I have to put my mum out of her life to go and do mine and get my food shop for my children when I should be doing that.
Okay, so you've been feeling these feelings for quite some time then. Is there anything that's brought you here today? What has made you seek treatment then? Is there any particular trigger?
I think the main thing is I just want help. I want to be able to be a good mother. I want to be able to take my children out to like activities, maybe on a holiday potentially, but even just the supermarket. I just want to be able to do that. I just think it seems to be getting worse. I just want to be able to go outside, and even just the thought of even leaving the bin out now, I just can't, and I just want to maybe find out ways that maybe I can, and it might be a possibility that I can do all those things.
Yeah, that's no problem at all. Is there anybody that you are maybe with, you know, as soon as you step out of the house, does this happen every time?
Yeah, it happens every time, but if my mum's there, I can do it. Like my mum brought me here today. If my mum's there, I do feel those feelings, but not to the extent as I do when I'm on my own.
Okay.
And I feel like when my mum's there that I have that support. I don't really think that I'm going to collapse, but then if I have in my head if I do collapse, well, my mum knows me and she'll be able to help me. So my mum would be kind of the person that I would go out with the most.
Okay, so your mum actually helps to prevent when you're with your mother, these feelings aren't just as bad.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else who would be around who would just the same effect, you know, where the feelings are reduced?
I guess my children, they used to help when they were younger, and they were dependent on me, but now my children are all of high school age. They don't really need me, so I need them more to go out, and maybe the roles have reversed there, but so I think maybe my children, but I want to be able to go out with them and do the shop, or I just don't think that's possible now. Maybe before when they were younger, but not now.
Yeah, of course. Okay. So whenever these feelings start to come over you, would there be any particular situation where this problem gets worse for you?
When I know I have to go, I would feel really anxious and feel this feeling inside me. I'd be worrying and constantly thinking what could happen. So maybe like arranged appointments and things, because I know they're coming. Also, when I know I need shopping, and I'm thinking if my mother won't be able to do it, I need to obviously give my children food, so I'm going to have to go. And what happens if my kids aren't back from school on time, and I'll have to go myself? So just kind of daily tasks like that. Even the prospect that if I needed to go to the supermarket, I would have to get on a bus or even a taxi. I just that really scares me that I would have to do that.
Okay, so just as a quick summary then, whenever you go outside of your house by yourself, you feel really anxious, your heart starts to race, you get nervous, you get panicky, you feel like you're going to take a heart attack or collapse. This problem isn't quite as bad with your mother and possibly with your children as well. It gets a lot worse when you know that you have something like an arranged appointment, or you go to the supermarket and you think that this problem stems back from when you were a young child, and one of the things that might have started this off was losing your mother at the supermarket at that time, and things seem to have sort of rolled on from there.
Yeah.
Would that be sort of accurate, or something like that?
That sounds just like me, yeah.
Okay, that's no problem. So How is your mood, Laura? I mean, has this got you feeling down, or what do you feel like on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I feel just kind of ashamed that I can't go outside. You know, I'm 32. I should be able to leave my house without my mum.
Yeah.
And just I guess it just makes me feel really down. Then I find myself even like daily tasks like hoovering just aren't being done because I'm just kind of I don't have any motivation to do it.
So
I'm just always in the house. So yeah, my mood would be quite low, but that's not to say, you know, I can't, like when my kids come home, I am excited to see them and I'm happy for all of them and they tell me all the exciting things is in their life and it does excite me, but when they're not there and I'm on my own, I feel really down.
Yeah, so would you say that your kids are one of the greatest sources of joy in your life then?
Definitely,
Yeah.
they're my
And that
source.
your energy levels are generally low throughout the day then because of being essentially not able to go out of your own house then?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your sleep like, Laura? Are you sleeping okay?
It comes and goes. I didn't sleep well at all this week because I knew I was coming here. If I know I don't have to go out of the house, I will sleep slightly better. But no, at night time these feelings come over me in bed. My mind's ticking. You know, first of all I'm feeling like, oh, you can't even go outside. But then I'm feeling if you do go outside, and then I start to feel anxious, and my head just goes in overdrive. So I find myself not even going to bed until really, really late, maybe 1, 2 in the morning, and then I have to get up to see my children off to school. But then I'm kind of in bed throughout the afternoon and napping and stuff, so I just don't really sleep.
So would it be accurate enough in saying that you have no really good set sleep routine at the minute?
Yeah, I have no
It's a
sleep
bit
routine.
all over the place. Okay. What about your appetite? Are you eating okay, or?
I guess not. I don't really. I just make sure my children have enough to eat, and there is stuff for me. But just with this feeling and the feeling in my stomach, I just don't have any appetite. I try to eat, but then I find myself just eating like crisps or sweets, and I don't have a good balanced diet, which I know how to get and I know it's important, but I just don't do it.
Okay, and just lastly then, do you take any drugs or alcohol? Now, I know this may be quite a sensitive question, but it's just something we just ask in general to everybody, you know, just to sort of gauge where we're at.
No, because I'm a single parent, I just don't consume any alcohol in case there was an emergency. But I've never taken drugs. I don't take alcohol at all. So no,
Are you on any medications at the moment, Laura?
yeah, the doctor prescribed me beta blockers to take when I have to leave the house. So I took some today, this morning, knowing that I had to come here, but I would only take it if I need to.
Okay then, so just to summarise, aside from your anxiety issues then, your mood is generally low throughout the day, you're not sleeping too well, but overall your appetite is not too bad, your energy levels are quite low, but again you think this is all tied into your anxiety?
Yeah.
Okay. We don't, at this practice, Laura, we don't really offer any exact diagnoses, but it does seem that you're experiencing some form of anxiety. There could be possible, you're experiencing some of the symptoms of panic disorder here, possibly with what we call agoraphobia, which would be the sort of fear of different crowds. You're experiencing as well low mood along with that. But I do think that CBT has been used effectively to treat these different things before. So I'm hopeful that with CBT we can improve some of these symptoms that you're having.
Okay.
Okay. So if I just go through this here. Yes. Okay. So the next thing I just want to go through with you, Laura, is what we call the ABC model. Okay. And what the ABC model is one of the core principles of CBT, and it just basically helps you get a better understanding of your thoughts, your feelings and emotions, okay? So this is what we call the ABC triangle, okay? ABC stands for autonomic, behaviour and cognitions. Now, those are really, you know, they're unnecessary words. Really all you need to know is that they're thoughts, your feelings and emotions, and then how this interacts with your behaviour, and then your behaviour will play back into your cognition. So if I just run through, you know, something like a bit of an example with you, we'll start at cognitions, okay? So your thoughts throughout the day. If I were to say to you, okay, so you have an appointment for next week to come here, okay, what would you begin to think when you have this appointment coming up?
I think I would start to panic, and I would think, oh, you're going to collapse if you leave your house.
Mm-hmm. So you think you're going to collapse, if you have to go out of your house, okay? And then when we talk about autonomic or your feelings, we're not talking about do I feel panicky. What we talk about physical feelings is what would you actually physically feel. So when your heart starts to race, that is a physical feeling that you have. Or say if you start to get sweaty or dizzy, that is physical feelings that we have. So if you just run through there, when you think you're going to collapse, what do you feel in your body? What do you feel physically?
I feel like all those things that you just said, but I feel my chest tightening. I feel my heart racing, my palms get sweaty, and the dizziness comes over me, and that makes me feel like I'm going to collapse.
Mm-hmm. And then in terms of feelings then and your emotions, how do you feel?
Well, I'm real sense of worry and yes, in case I will collapse, fear. I'm just really scared to leave the house, and I guess I'm also sad because I'd love to be able to, and I just don't really understand why I'm like this.
Mm-hmm. And so whenever you feel it, whenever you have, okay, so we start with the thoughts, you feel like you're going to collapse, you think you're going to collapse, then this brings us on to the physical feelings of chest tightening, palms sweaty, you're beginning to worry, you're fearful, and then obviously if you are feeling like that every time that you have these thoughts, the behaviours that then result in this, I mean, did you at any point think that you don't want to come here today because of the feelings that you're having?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes.
I really wasn't going to come today. I really wanted to come today, but my feelings, I was just going to avoid. But then when my mum came to the door, I kind of said, right, she's here, so maybe I can go. But if she wasn't there, I don't think I would have come today.
Yeah, so your mother reinforced the importance of then getting this sorted out. So you said the word avoid there, and that would tend to be the thing that results from these feelings then is avoidance behaviours, okay? So that's, I mean, this may seem like common sense to you right now, but I mean, it does help just to map these things out. So you feel like you're going to, or you think that you're going to collapse, that leads to these physical feelings of chest tightening, palms sweaty, your emotions, then you're worrying, you're fearful, and then that can lead to you just avoiding the situation.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would be the same in the supermarket. I mean, if the supermarket was an avoidable situation where you could get food handier or do the online shopping or something like that there, then that would be something that you would do. You would avoid going into those sort of situations.
Yeah, that sounds like me.
Okay, yeah. But the same can be true in the opposite ways. I mean, whenever you know that something is important, like you coming here today, I mean, if you think to yourself, no, I'm not going to collapse. This is just the feelings of panic, the feelings of fear. These are only physical sensations and there's actually nothing to worry about. I'm not going to collapse. If you reinforce those positive thoughts then, this can then lead into less physical feelings that are related to anxiety. So less shaking, less heart racing, less whatever. And then that will obviously lead to better behaviours, okay? So as I said, it's better just to map these out and then you can see how they all relate and then you can break the cycle of negativity.
Okay.
Starting mainly with your thoughts, but these, since they all interplay, this really can be halted almost anywhere in the chain. The last thing which we would then cover is the impact of these thoughts, feelings and behaviours. So you've said before that you feel like you're impacting on your ability to be a mother, so this would possibly impact on your children then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the impact of this would be, I suppose, you imposing on your mother or being an inadequate mother to your children, as you just said there, or these feelings of inadequacy. Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give this to you here.
Thank you.
To just let you sort of process that and digest it. Is there any questions that you have about that, or is there anything you don't understand?
No, it actually makes a lot of sense. I never thought about it this way before.
What I do want you to try and recognise, Laura, is that you are not the only one with these sort of feelings of anxiety and panic. There are many people who come to me with similar issues and similar feelings of anxiety and panic. Okay. The next thing I just want to run through, and this is something that we do have to do for everybody, is just what's called a basic risk assessment. Okay. And this risk assessment is just to see where you're at and to see hopefully that you're not in any risk. Okay. So if I do ask any sensitive questions, just know it is. Not all of these will apply to you, or maybe not all of these will apply to you. You can have some do. Don't worry too much about it. Okay. have you ever had any suicidal feelings or suicidal thoughts?
Absolutely not. Suicide would be extremely against my beliefs. I have 3 children. I'm a single parent. They don't have any relationship with their dad, so I could not leave them, and it's just never crossed my mind.
Yeah. So you think you could never do anything like that because of your children being left on their own?
Yeah.
If your children weren't around, do you think that you'd have to be any more way inclined, or do you think this is still not in your...
No, my beliefs was still just no, I just wouldn't do it. I know that there's always help out there, and I have my mum as well, and if I ever did feel that way, which I haven't, but I know I could count on her.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, if you've never had any suicidal ideations or suicidal thoughts, have you ever made any plans to even not suicidal plans, but maybe plans to self-harm?
No, that's just not in my nature. I've never made any plans.
Okay, so you never thought of, obviously we do reach out and punch things the odd time if we reach out in anger, but you never thought, you never routinely bang your head against the wall or think of cutting yourself or anything like that there,
No,
so...
No.
Okay. And do you believe that, have your actions ever caused you to be a danger to anybody else?
No, I guess I'm just a danger to myself because I know it's so unhealthy to be stuck in my house, but I would never harm anybody else. I know this issue is my own, and I wouldn't blame anyone or put the blame on anybody else.
Okay, and you say whenever you think you're a danger to yourself, is that just because that you're lying in the house doing nothing, or is there anything particularly around you there?
It's just because it's so unhealthy, and as I said earlier, I'm sitting in the house, I can't even be bothered eating, and I know the importance of eating, but I just can't be bothered, and I know the importance of leaving my house, and I don't. So I just know that if anything, I'm a harm to myself, as in I'm making myself poor, my mental health poor, but I just...
Yeah. Okay, well again, I would remind you that you have come out here today, so you have taken a very good positive step. Okay. What we may do in the following sessions is just, if we do have following sessions, of course, is just to continue that sort of risk assessment, just to make sure there are no continued thoughts, or just to make sure that you're in a good state of mind. Okay. It's more just us trying to look after you, rather than us pointing out criticisms or trying to see, oh, is she going to harm herself or others. It's just more to look after yourself. Okay. Now, the next thing I would just like to go through with you are some basic psychological questionnaires, and these again are what I mentioned at the start of the initial assessment, just to try and get a baseline of where you're at. Okay, so here we have just a few. We have the PHQ-9, which is for depression. Okay, and this would be just it's a self-report measure, so it would be you just scoring this on 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you'll see the labels for each of these numbers, and if you just circle the number where you're at, what do you feel is the appropriate answer to the question, okay? And then as you fill that out, we then get a total score, which then I'll then feed back to you and let you know how you basically did. There's also the GAD-7 for anxiety, okay? And this is filled out in pretty much the exact same way. Okay, and then lastly we have the social phobia inventory, and these are just again the sort of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 responses to the different questions that's presented. Okay. So if I just give you these to fill out for the time being, okay, or do you want any help filling them out, or are you okay?
I think I could do it, yeah.
Okay. If I just give these to you and you just fill them out in your own time, there's no rush on it at all. I'm just going to continue just to look over these notes here, okay? Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you, Laura. Okay, so from your, we'll do the GAD-7 first here, okay? So from GAD-7, which is anxiety, we can see that your total score is 14, which we would consider to be quite on the sort of moderate to severe end. So it's quite bad anxiety, but I mean, this is to be expected from what you were telling me, and honestly, this is not a score which we would rarely see. This is a score that is some, we do see quite a lot coming in here, so there's nothing, you're not a particular exception to the rule, and we do think we have seen these scores, or a score like this, very treatable by cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay, yeah. Again, the same with the depression inventory then. we have seen your score is 9, which we would consider to be mild depression, and again that would fit in with what you're saying about you starting to feel quite low in your mood. Okay, again, I think as your anxiety starts to improve, or if your anxiety does improve through CBT, we may see your mood starting to improve as well. Okay.
Okay.
And then the last, just to give us a better outlook on the possible diagnosis of agoraphobia, would be the social phobia inventory, and this is essentially you have scored 41, which is considered to be quite bad, I suppose, but then again that ties in with the anxiety that you're having, and it's your avoidance of social situations like going to the supermarket, which is, I suppose, causing that.
Okay.
If we can get your anxiety treated though, and your score starts to come down, you'll see the social phobia score come down a lot more as well.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any questions that you have there?
No, no question.
Guys,
Okay.
are you in this? Is
Yeah, I'm
this on?
recording.
Sorry?
I'm recording. Okay, Laura, so sorry about that interruption. Basically what I was saying there is about your social inventory scores, your PHQ scores, and your GAD scores. We should hopefully see those go down over time as the treatment progresses, okay, but we will keep an active eye on that. And just in the meantime, I'd just like to do a quick summary of all that we've covered so far. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Again, do you have any questions about what we've talked about so far, or are you happy enough?
No, I'm happy to understand everything.
Okay. Again, don't be worrying about those scores. As I said, you know, it's something we just do for everybody, and everybody does. You know, a lot of people do score higher, you know, on a few of the things. So, overall, then, we discussed your problems with anxiety. We have discussed that you are feeling low in mood, and you're having different cognitions, like thoughts of possibly being inadequate in terms of being a mother to your children and imposing on your own mother. What we tend to do in this initial session for CBT is we draw what's called a problem statement. Okay, this problem statement will basically it allows you to view your problem at a glance. It allows you to see the different triggers, something, you know, things that are triggering off the problems. It allows you to see then the behaviours that are consequences of those triggers, and just gives you a better overall picture of what's going on there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and help you to construct a problem statement, or I'm going to construct a problem statement in agreements with yourself there.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll just run through this quickly, and this will be inclusive of everything we've talked about today. So if you do forget anything that we have talked about today, all you have to do is refer back to the problem statement, read over it, and then you'll start to pick things up again. Okay.
Okay.
So to start off with, we'll just discuss the main problem. So if I were to write my main problem is that I feel very anxious when I leave the house by myself.
Yeah, that's definitely my main problem. Yeah.
Okay, and that itself is that would be autonomic. Okay, so that'd be the feeling that you have because you are the anxiety kicks in, and you're starting to feel, you know, your heart race, you start to sweat, then you're worrying with emotions, you know, you're fearful. Okay, so I feel very anxious when I leave the house by myself. I have had this problem for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, but it has been made worse recently since all my children are unable to accompany me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so again, that would be one of the main triggers. Okay, that started to trigger these feelings of anxiety. Okay, so the next bit of it here. When I leave the house on my own, my heart starts racing, and I think that I may collapse.
Yeah, that's definitely sounds like
Okay.
me.
So again, that thought that you may collapse is one of the cognitions. So I'm just again writing in cognition. Okay, and then this will again, because we've included the cognitions and the autonomic factors, or the feelings and emotions, then we can say, I avoid going into crowded spaces,
Yeah.
such as large shops.
Yeah.
Okay, and then that is your, as we discussed there, the avoidance behaviour. Okay, as they make me feel much worse. Okay, so we're acknowledging that again, it's not just the behaviour, you're avoiding those because those are triggers for you. There's two triggers there, so you're going out of the house is a trigger, and then being in that crowded space is another trigger.
Okay.
Okay, my anxiety is preventing me from being independent.
Yeah.
Yeah, would you feel that's accurate?
Yeah, I would say that's accurate. Yeah.
Okay. And I feel as though I am becoming a burden to my mother by asking her for help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, that would be the impact of then the cognitions, the autonomic, the behaviours, the thoughts, feelings, and behaviours. Okay, so
Okay.
again, you can see how the ABC is very intertwined in the entire CBT model.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Okay.
so.
So, and as for the problem descriptor, which is just not to label your problem, but I would just maybe say anxiety and low mood would be the accurate problem descriptors.
Okay.
Would you say, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. Again, I'm not going to give you a diagnosis or anything like that, because it's not what we're here to do. We're simply here to treat the problems that you're presenting with. I don't want to give you a label because, you know, I don't want you to feel like it's...
Okay.
Okay. So, this is your problem statement here. All written out for you. And again, I do want you to refer back to that,
Okay,
just if
thank
you forget anything we've talked about. I want you, if it's okay to do just a wee bit of homework for me. Okay, I want you to try and take away this ABC model.
Okay.
And just try and, as you feel, as you're going through the different experiences that you experience with this problem, you know, so the cognitions or the thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and any behaviours that you even, like, you feel yourself about to do, you know, if I don't want to go to the shop, you know, right, and okay, so that is an avoidance behaviour, or if you're avoiding going on public transport, again, that is an avoidance behaviour, so make sure you just note those down too.
Okay.
And again, anything that you know, would be involved with you think your low mood comes into play. Like if you feel like doing the ironing, but no, you're too low in energy to do it.
Okay.
Again, you can note those things down as well. You know, just to try and sort of pull everything in together. Okay. Now, as for treatment options, Laura, the way CBT works is as I mentioned at the start of the session, there is a patient-centered therapy. So this is a joint decision-making process between us. What I can do here is I can suggest different treatments that I think would work within the CBT model, and the treatment that CBT promotes me and or that we would use within it.
Mm-hmm.
I present them to you. If you feel like they would help you,
Mm-hmm.
then just if you agree with me, then yeah, we can continue forward with that. If you disagree with any of the treatments that I would suggest, then just let me know.
Okay.
One of the things you did mention earlier was that you weren't sleeping too well, and I think that's a very good place to start.
Yeah, I'm definitely not sleeping well at all.
Okay. Well, if we can improve your sleep, I think we could definitely improve some of the mood factors. I know your mood is, you said, definitely affected by your anxiety, but this is something we can touch on later on. But with regards to just solely the sleep, trying to get you into a relatively normal sleep pattern. So instead of you know, napping during the day and then not being able to sleep at night, I just think it'd be healthier to try and get a regular sleep pattern down, and especially, you know, with regards to the kids' sleeping pattern as well, it might just help bring everything together. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So what I would just recommend is that instead of napping during the day, try and hold off and then go to bed at a set point every night, and then when you do go to bed, just note it down in a wee journal or a wee diary for me. Okay.
Okay.
So you're recording how many hours of sleep you're getting at night,
Okay.
and if you wake up feeling refreshed, like good quality sleep.
Okay.
So even just like on a scale of 1 to 10, if you can just record that, okay?
Okay.
And that way we can actually get an objective pattern of how your sleep is, and then we can see, you know, even if you've looked down your mood during the day, you know, that you can then start to see how your sleep is affecting your mood.
Okay.
The next probably major treatment in the anxiety part of the problem is panic management. Okay, so this is essentially helping you to understand where these physical feelings are coming from, and then how the thoughts are sort of impacting on that. Okay, so I have a few resources for you here when it comes to anxiety and panic, and hopefully these will just help you to understand a bit more about it. Okay, so what I have here first of all is it's just basically a little booklet. So it is about anxiety and generalized anxiety disorder. Now, not all of this may apply to you, but some of it still will. And if you just read the first 2 chapters for me,
Okay.
okay? Hopefully this should help you get a better understanding of where these feelings and thoughts are coming from. There's other accounts of people who have been through some of the things yourself, and their accounts of what have happened and how they sort of came through it, okay? So you can read more than 2 chapters if you want. It's completely up to yourself.
Okay.
But if you read the first 2 chapters just before our next meeting, okay? And then I have this here with me as well, which I think would help a lot, which is what we call the Adrenaline Man. I'm sure you may be able to pick up on some of the things that we've already talked about during the session. So when adrenaline kicks in, it is the body's fight or flight response, we call it. You know,
Okay.
so if you are about to get in that fight, if you're about to be under a very stressful situation, the body's adrenaline will kick in and will start to cause your heart to beat faster, your body will start to sweat, your mouth goes dry, you know, you're having racing thoughts, you might get dizzy.
Mhm.
Do you see the
Oh, definitely. I think I would have
familiarity in that? Yeah.
most of them, certainly
Okay.
all of them.
Yeah, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this adrenaline man, and I do want you to try and read through it and just digest it, okay? And just acknowledge that, or try to acknowledge that it is the adrenaline in the body, it is just physical sensations. If you can try and separate the physical sensations from the thoughts, now this is going to take time, it's going to take practice, so it is. And it's not going to be immediate, but once you begin to understand where your panic is coming from, the physical sensations should lessen, okay? And this is where we then begin to see the scores coming down, okay? Is that all okay so far, or have you got any questions?
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be really helpful.
Okay. The next thing we have then, if you're agreeable with those treatments, is cognitive restructuring. And all this basically is me trying to change your thought processes around. So do you remember the ABC model?
Yeah.
If you still have it there. Okay, so what I want you to do then is when you have a thought such as I am going to collapse, okay, if you can just try and change that negative around to positive, as in instead of I am going to collapse, maybe no, I am not going to collapse, because you know that it's the physical sensations, it's not an impending heart attack that's definitely going to happen, it simply is physical sensations of adrenaline.
Mhm.
Once you know that it's just physical sensations of adrenaline, then you can begin to control cognition a little better and say, okay, instead of I'm going to collapse, no, I'm not going to collapse, it's just adrenaline.
Mhm.
Okay, and then once you start to feed more of those positive cognitions into it, hopefully we'll start to see even more improvement in the physical sensations.
Okay.
Okay, so that's going to be the next treatment that I would suggest to you. Are you okay with that? Do you
Yeah,
think?
that sounds good. I think I could do that. Yeah.
Okay, and once we start to see those treatments being implemented appropriately, and we see that they're working, or if they're not, then we adjust. Okay, the next thing I would suggest, and this is going to be the final part of the treatment, would be exposure therapy. And this is relatively new stuff, but we have a virtual reality lab set up in the practice here. So what we'll be able to do is take you through simulated experiences of. I know you said earlier, like you feared public transport, and it really got the adrenaline pumping, and you started becoming very fearful.
Yeah, yeah.
We can essentially take you through simulated environments of public transport and being in a supermarket, but not actually being there. So you'd be sitting here in the comfort of your chair, knowing that you're not actually in that environment, but you'd be faced with the same visual stimulation of those environments, okay? So you may start to feel those physical sensations again, but then you would know yourself that you're not actually in that situation.
Okay. Yeah, I can
Okay.
see how that could work.
Yeah, as essentially we would use the same sort of treatments for different phobias, so if you think that would help you, it's something that we'd more than happy to offer you.
Yeah, I think that would be really helpful.
Okay.
I would like to try it.
Do you have any questions about the session overall then, Laura, or?
No, I think I've learned a lot, much more than I thought I was going to before I came here.
Yeah,
So
okay, that's really good.
thank you.
Well, if that's okay, then I'm just going to wrap up the session for you. Okay. Would you like to come back next week?
Yes, the next
Does
week
it
will be
appropriate?
perfect. Yeah.
Again, with CBT, the way we work here is we can give you a Skype call, or we can do a telephone call, or you can come in face to face. It's entirely up to you. What do you think would be best?
I think my mum can bring me, so I will come next week.
Okay.
I think I'm better face to face.
Yeah, no problem. And if you have any questions in the meantime, I can just give you my email here. Okay?
Okay.
If you have any problems or questions, just fire me a quick email and I'll try and get back to you.
Thank you
Okay?
very much.
In the meantime, it was very nice meeting you, Laura.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you very much for coming
Thank you.
along.